What's up, everybody? Welcome to Flux Harmonic. I'm David Wilson, and we're back with another Ludum Dare game jam, or I guess game compo for this year. This is the second one that I've been doing, or I will be doing this year. And if I sound like I'm tired, it's because it's 6 a.m. So I'm not going to be thinking super clearly, but we're going to try to see what we can do to make a game in 48 hours using the language that I've been working on called Mesche. So I'm pretty excited about this. I think we'll be able to do some interesting things. But while people still start showing up, I'm gonna start trying to get a repo ready for the project just to get some code building and just have a baseline for operating on it. And then we will start talking about what kind of game we might want to make. So let me just get that going. I haven't done anything for this yet, so this might be slightly boring. Let me see if I can turn the music down a little bit too. Was it playing the same song over again? Okay, now it's fine. All right, so last time, what we did is created a game called Silent Siphon, I think. github.com/fluxharmonic. And what I plan to do is basically just copy the code that I had set up for that, or the project structure, because I don't want to have to start from scratch. I have a repo for that, actually, so maybe I can just go grab that and start over. Whoops. Let's see. Looking for projects. What? Pictures. All right, so LD50. All right, so I'm going to create a new folder. I don't know what to call it yet. We're going to just call it something to get started. Well, I guess I should tell you first what the topic is this time. So the topic of, or the topic, right? Topic for the jam is, where is it? Oh, this is the rules page. Let me go to the actual event page. Okay. Okay, right there. Okay, so the theme, that's the right word for it. The theme is every 10 seconds. I'm trying to see why my stream seems to be lagging. Probably Firefox. Every 10 seconds. So you have to make a game with a theme of whatever they say it is, and this time it's every 10 seconds. So if I can think of a generic name based on that. Man, my stream video is lagging hard as a result of the things in Firefox. Let me see. Rocked. I don't know what else is going on in the background. Just OBS. Chewing up everything. Man. So soon I'm going to get a new streaming computer that's dedicated for streaming. And I'm hoping that some of these problems will magically go away because the video will be smooth, because one computer will be taking care of all the video duties while the other computer is the one that I'm using for demonstrating things. So hopefully that happens. If you're there on the live chat, please say hello so I can say hello to you. All right, so every 10 seconds. Let me go back to my notes page, actually. Ludum Dare. So, whoops. What is happening? So that's the theme of the jam. Maybe we can just go ahead and start talking about what we want to make. So what I'm thinking, I was saying on the System Crafter stream yesterday that I'm thinking about making a text adventure game, but the more I think about it, the more I think it's going to be a little bit harder to add the necessary code that I need for text input that also is non-blocking, so that game logic can be running in the background. I mean, I could obviously do separate threads, but Mesche doesn't have support for multiple threads right now. So what I would need to do, hey Dago, nice to see you. I I'm thinking of a different thing to do instead. So instead of doing a text adventure game, what I might do is a very simple dungeon crawler. And so that, well, I'll tell you another constraint that I have. A constraint that I have is that I've just implemented the metaobject protocol in Mesche, and the implementation is a little bit slow, and I do not think that it will be good for a real-time game because it's going to just drag everything down. I think it would anyway. I'm not really sure how bad it would be. So I'm thinking about doing more of a classic style dungeon crawler, like, you know, NetHack style, where none of the entities in the game move until you move. So, you know, you have to do an action before anybody else. Yeah, weird theme. Yeah, well, sometimes they do have themes like this where it's very vague, and also you have to think hard to come up with a fun concept to do for that. So every entity in the game. Oh, see. Whoops! Wow, what's happening? I've never seen that happen before. The game is not real time. It things happen every time you make an action, move, attack, etc. Like NetHack, or like Chip's Challenge. I think Chip's Challenge is like that, right? I don't know if anybody else played Chip's Challenge, but that was a fun game back on the Windows Entertainment Pack. Probably it exists since before then also, but so yeah, that's sort of the idea right now. So to come up with an idea for like where 10 seconds fits into this, I'm thinking something about you know, some aspect of the game changes every 10 seconds. So maybe like some or and it's too early. My brain is not thinking of the right words. I have something in mind. Not a behavior, an ability. So maybe an ability you have changes how it behaves, or maybe the position of enemies or items on the map changes, which might be actually a bit more interesting. Oh, I also want to say the dungeon itself fits on the screen. So this is going to be super simple. We're not going to make like a big sprawling world because, you know, it wouldn't be easy to do map generation, which implies I might have to look up an algorithm for how to do that effectively because I don't know much about map generation, at least for things like this. Also, we probably won't have like line of sight visibility type stuff or like lighting because, you know, that takes effort. So very, very simple game. Another thing that could change is the specific item or enemy you must what is the word? Man, I'm really losing my language capabilities this morning. Pursue. The specific item or enemy you must pursue changes. So like, what is the goal of the game? Maybe there's a time limit also for you to complete the thing. So there's 10 seconds, but maybe there is a time limit where like 100 seconds. You have to complete the goal, even though the goal keeps changing. That could work. Yeah, if the goal keeps changing, but then how's that fun? And what's the strategy? Would you just stand in the same position and just wait and hope that the thing that you have to do just shows up in the right place? Maybe so. I mean, I can make a player's position also potentially changes, but I'm not certain about whether that's the right approach. We can start with this as a concept and just go with it and see what happens. So then if we were to come up with a name for something like this, dungeon crawler, where things are changing every 10 seconds. I could call it something like erratic dungeon or erratic adventure. That sounds like the kind of name that I would pick. Maybe erratic cavern is a better name idea. Let's just go with that. You're in a cave. Yeah, let's just say name idea. Let me do that. Let's see, dictionary cavern. Large cave or chamber in a cave. Okay, that's fine. Let's go with that. I don't know. You know, the point here isn't to make an amazing game. The point is just to make a game and, you know, see what kind of code we write as a result of doing that. So I think it's more fun that way. All right, so let's get started again. Maybe I can just go ahead and create the repo for this then. Go into the Flux Harmonic GitHub org, and then create the repository. LD51. Oh, can I type? Thank you. LD51 erratic cavern. What do they call the previous one? An entry for the. What license did I put on the other? Did I even put a license? I did not. That's funny. Let's go with a BSD3, I think. GPL. Nah, let's do that. BSD3. I don't care. So now we got this, and I can go and clone this repo down. So let's hop into the shell. So cd projects code, and then git clone git at github.com, Flux Harmonic, LD51 erratic cavern. Okay, now we have our repository folder. Let me kill this E shell. I don't have a normal E shell. Doesn't matter. Let's hop over to projects code LD51 and then E shell into this one. Okay. Alrighty, so like I said, I want to copy over the code that I have from the previous Ludum Dare, whatever. LD50. Come on now, I pressed star on purpose. Let's see how long this takes. I like how eShell hangs whenever you're trying to copy a bunch of files. It's actually probably a mistake to do it this way. Let's see if I can cancel. Oops, cancel that. Yeah. No such file or directory. I will start over and copy the files that I want directly. Come on now. Okay, so let's go into this folder. I want to mark this. Might mark that code just to grab some of it. This. Whoa, why did I not save my marks? Great. I need an updated build of Mesche and the CLI. That's okay. We'll figure out what we're going to do about that. Let me copy a few things here. That's probably good enough. So I'm going to go over to the other folder then and paste those in. Make sure I have everything I wanted. Get the font. Main file, manifest. Okay. Hey, Lucas. Yeah, this is a kind of a cool playlist. It's by a person named Carl Casey, Carl with a K. All right, so we have this stuff here. We do need a build of Mesche to run Mesche build. I mean, I suppose the one I was using before would probably work fine. So maybe I should just copy that over because I don't want to have to fight with things too much. So I'll just copy this folder as well. Okay, and this is a build of Mesche from a while back. Who knows how old this is? Oh, I could probably tell you. No, that's not today. Anyway, whatever. So modules, let's see, we have the main here. Okay, this is all the game code. So I want to get rid of all this. Except for just the very, very basics. Man, so much stuff. I'll get rid of everything after this. I need to remember how to use my libraries, I think. I'll have to consult my own code for this, I think. All right, so erratic cavern. Let's get rid of all the module references that we don't need. Probably need all the substratic stuff. Forgot that I had a time module. This is going to be interesting to see whether this works or crashes and burns completely. I don't know if FPS counter is something I define. Okay, this should be enough just to get something set up. And then all this stuff, I'll just delete this whole folder. Yeah, and then create a new folder, cavern. I don't know. Call it erratic. So now that I've got that, I'll also change this to erratic main. Also make sure that my main.c is going to do the right thing. Modules, library init. Modules main. That. Ah, yeah, okay. That should be enough. So let me try. I also need to go check out the project file. Let me just change all this stuff here. So erratic cavern. We have our depths here. Okay, all of our different builds. Change this too. That should be everything. So siphon. Okay, cool. Get rid of that part too. All right. Now let's see if we can actually get this thing to run. Huh? I don't remember what I was using before. Can I go check out the README of the previous project? Did I help myself and actually leave notes on how to run it? That's funny. Bad tail call patching. I actually fixed a few of these issues recently. This is stuff these are notes that I left behind from the previous jam where I had issues with Mesche, and that one I think I may have fixed whatever that was. Tail call patching is tricky because you got to make sure that you don't produce incorrect code in certain places, because if you do try to tail call in an inappropriate place, then it won't return back to the function that called the function. So then your code just stops working the way you think it should, and you have no idea why. But I think I've built my skills in figuring out how to detect that this is happening. Okay, so no instructions on how to build this. When I work on the language itself, I'm not using the build tool, so I get out of practice with it. What if I just go to the console? So I'm going to go into vterm. Let's just figure this out. So geeks shell manifest. Let's see what it does. It's going to set some things up here. Let's see. All right, so we're in the shell now. And if I can go, let's see, run tools / mesh. Okay, so it thankfully does run. So mesh build. What was the... So if I use config dev, if this is the command line syntax, and then target main. Okay, so it's doing something. That's good. It's basically setting up the dependencies for the project. And we'll see how this looks in a second whenever it finishes downloading Muzzle C, which probably isn't necessary until I try to actually build a distributable version of the game, but you know. Building things. Hey, it actually did something. How about that? Bin / dev / erratic. Okay, that actually worked. It didn't. The window didn't stay up because I didn't have anything there to keep it running. But at least we have a running program now. I'm probably violating a little bit of the rules of Ludum Dare by using a little bit of my own code to start with, but it is code that I wrote in a previous Ludum Dare, so I would think that it's not a big deal because... Oh, let's actually look at the rules. So for the rules for the compo is what I'm doing because it's a 48-hour competition, and 48 hours is all I really have because on Monday I have to work, so I can't be doing 72 hours. And this is the hardest one too, because you can't use any pre-made art assets. I'm only going to use like a font that I have, but other than that, I can't use any pre-made art assets, which sucks because I'm not an artist and I can't really make anything that looks nice. But you know, we'll see what we can do. All your content, music, art, sound must be created in 48 hours. You must work alone. Source code must be included. You're free to use any tools or libraries to create your game. You're free to start with any base code you may have. Okay, so I'm good with that. At the end, you will be required to share your source code. Special exemptions for the compo. Fonts are allowed, so I'm cool with the fonts. Logo intro screen is allowed. Photos or recordings you make of people. Content generators are allowed. So there's a sound effects generator you can use. Texture masks, brush, sampled instruments are okay if you make a derivative work, okay? Okay. So what I'm doing is not violating the rules. That's good to know. So now let's go back into main.msc. And what we did is create a window, but now we're not doing anything with it. So I actually want to go check out the main of the other project and just at least get a basic loop started so that we can hack on that. So we have this run engine loop. And this apparently is how Substratic engine works, the game engine that I wrote for Mesche. Go back to Cavern, paste this in. I also need the same kind of functions from the other project. So renderer, we have a function called renderer here. Oh no, we have the renderer already, I think, don't we? All right, let me just split this window because this is going to be really annoying otherwise. What is happening? Go away. Okay, so let's go to the other main. What is that? Okay. So we need... I think I got that right. Okay. I don't even know where FPS is coming from. Make FPS counter. Huh, must be from Substratic. Okay, let's just leave it that way. So we have, we need the update func. Oh, okay. So we already have those two. We just have those. So we just don't need to do anything right now. Renderer clear, and then current renderer render. And what I had before was sort of a setup where we change what the current thing being rendered is. I'm actually going to use the metaobject protocol stuff to drive all this if I can. We're going to see how slow it makes things because there's a lot of inefficiency on that. I might not do it for the main loop, but I'll do it for rendering things. So current renderer, oops, yeah, current renderer, menu renderer. Okay, so menu renderer is this function. Okay, so just simple stuff. I'm already clearing the screen. All I need to do is that. And then this as well. I'll just say T on that. Oops, not hash T. This Mesche doesn't have that right now. If not, window needs close window T. Okay, so just that enough. It should be enough, I think. So if we go back, let me do. Hello, Namtek. Is there like a tools mesh run command? Run. Okay, cool. So that's probably what I want. Compile. Let's see. Geek shell pure. And then I'm going to say tools. Wait, I need to be in the right folder for this. tool slash mesh. Come on now. Come on now, geeks. Tool slash mesh run target dev config. Wait, let's config dev target main. This would build and run the project. Yeah, okay. Apparently I did not actually finish that, of course. So we're gonna use build instead, and then we're gonna run right after. So build and bin slash dev slash erratic cavern. All right, so we got a window that does not close. Needs to be bigger though. Here, can't change it. All right, and I also have some memory leaks. Fantastic. Domtech says, how long have you been programming? I've been programming since probably the early 90s. So I don't know, 30 years almost. Let's see. What could I possibly have done wrong? Is it because I just killed the window and I didn't like that too much? All right, we'll have to deal with that issue later, because I want to get something started up first at least. First of all, it'd be nice if there was a way to make a bigger window sort of by default. Now that I'm using a window manager, like a legitimate window manager and not EXWM, which I know that's a little harsh to say, but EXWM does things differently than other normal window managers like Erbsluft that I'm using right now. So it showed the window much bigger than the size that I asked for, which was actually a problem whenever I was developing the last game, because I didn't have a realistic perception of the size of things. So I'll define some stuff here to change it as I need to. So 1280. I need to double that, because for me, the 1280 by 720 is very small. So if I were to go 1280 times 2, you know, math is not my strong suit whenever I wake up so early. So sorry. So 2560. You know what? I actually have a programming language. Why don't I just do this? 1280 times 2. How about that? That's great. That's you know, galaxy brain thinking right there. Okay, so window width. Yeah, I don't like this long line. Let's clean it up a little bit. Okay. Window input state renderer. So if I were to run it again, then we should have a bigger window this time. And I tell it to be centered by default. I kind of want it to be centered. Never set up any key binding to exit. Okay, exiting game loop. So it actually does try to exit the game loop. I don't know why it leaks memory. I may have to check out some issues with Substratic Engine. All right. In the previous game, did I have anything for quitting? Q to quit. Quit text. Quit text. Q. Q. Second. Input. All right. So we know what the excuse me. We know what the idea of the game is. So really just need to start off by trying to get a basic rendering going for what the game board would look like. So I can maybe write a function for that. And I probably shouldn't throw it into this this file here. So maybe we'll just create some modules for this whole thing. So modules, erratic, game.msc. Find module, erratic, game. Probably need to do some imports, but we'll figure that out in a little bit. Then in this file, I can pull in erratic game. Excuse me. So define game renderer. Oh, okay, let's actually change this naming pattern. Render game renderer. So we have fonts. It was kind of the benefit of keeping things in this one file, being able to share assets. But maybe if I just have this in like an assets module also. So modules, erratic assets, assets.msc. Define module, erratic assets. And we need the font logic. So let's pull in, what's the syntax for that? It's just import. Yeah, import substratic font. Is that it? Okay. That should load up those fonts again. And I need to export those. Okay. So now here in the renderer, we say define current renderer and just pass that along the render game function. Is that what it was? Render game. Okay. And then I also had a current updater. Define current updater, update game. These will track the current game logic and render function. Okay, so now we'll put those back in, and then I also need an update game function. So define update game time delta. Let's just return t. Whoa, return t from these just to have something in there. I'll move this up above the render function, and that should be enough to get things moving. So if I wanted to, I could try to render some text to the screen. Now I also have to remember how to do that. So render text. Cool. So let's see. Oh, window width, window height. It's another aspect of this where I have to have a way to access these pieces of information. Maybe what I can do is have a window module for the game where the window actually gets created. I'm basically just trying to push all of the, the stuff that I had in this one mega file from the previous project into individual files so it's easier to manage, but I might end up regretting that. So we'll have to see how it ends up going. Okay. So I'll create a window module just to see how this goes. So, oops, wrong project. Okay, so define erratic window. Import. I'll have to figure out which ones I need for this. So we'll have these two, these three. I'm sort of thinking about all this at the same time. And wondering if this is a foolish endeavor. I guess the reason why I'm doing it this way is because I don't want to have to be passing this information into the renderer functions. Like, for instance, in the game.msc, if I have this function here, then certain things will need to be calculated based on the window size and or the screen size in theory. And that means I have to pass them in as parameters of some sort, either directly as parameters or through some kind of object that I can pull the information out of later. And anything that requires a function call is going to slow things down. But maybe I shouldn't really be worried about that. I mean, sometimes you need to call a function. So does a renderer tell me anything? Let me check the render API. Let's go into depths, substratic, engine, modules, substratic. What is it? Oh, systems? What is that? I don't even remember what's in here. Renderer. Okay. Apparently I can't read. What? And how am I getting the renderer? It's supposed to be a window. Engine? No. So in main, renderer create. Oh, that's probably defined in C. All right, fine. So if I go back to render.msc, if I pop down to the source folder, yeah, it's got to be all in here. Renderer.c, renderer create. All right, so we have renderer. What about the methods we have on that? Let me check the, well, actually, probably I need to go down to the bottom of this function or file. Okay, so we don't have a way to get the window size based on this, but maybe, does renderer give you the window? No. But there's the window library, which has window width, window height. So I don't need to save that really. I can just pull it off. So maybe if I just pass the window in, probably enough. Do I have it like a screen width or anything? What is screen scale being used for? Screen scale, nothing. Okay. Oh, that's erratic. Let me go to the other game. Nothing. Oh, okay. That's nice. Okay, so back in the real game. What I'm doing right now is just trying to figure out the right way to pass around the window width and height. Probably I just need to pass that directly into the render function. So I'll just do that, just so that we can keep things separated. What are these other parameters? Oh, that's clear. Brain, no worky. Window width. That's it. That's the window width though. It's not really the screen width, but we'll just go with that for now. Window height. Okay. That's the signature we're gonna follow for the renderer functions. So the point of this was to go and grab this render font, render text. There was something I was gonna copy here. Just grab this. You get that menu screen stuff going too. All right, render text, renderer, result font. Which fonts do we have? I need to import erratic assets. Asset. Okay. Don't know why I made that singular, but whatever. No, it's assets. Boy, oh boy. Need to rename that file. Let's kill that. Rename asset to what? Rename. No. Asset to assets. MSC. Okay. Result font, prompt font. Let's go with result font. And this is assets. Okay, result font, title text. Let's just go with this. Erratic cavern. Window width. We're gonna put this here. Window width. That's not necessary to calculate that. And title width. Did I calculate that in the code? Main. I think I did. Title width. There we go. So define title text. And then title text width. All right. Nope. Okay, let's see if this actually renders something then. Program counter points to the 0 page. What the hell did I do wrong? This is gonna be real fun to debug. Okay, the font loading is unhappy. And why is that? Because the file location I'm loading from, I need to update the relative path, perhaps. Assets.msc. So that would have been folder path it's running from. Okay, it's that one. And I have the font here, assets, fonts, Dentel. Interesting. Wonder if it didn't link correctly. So depths, engine, source, font. That's line 281. Font load file. So it acts as if it didn't even make it into this function. Interesting. This is not the kind of problem I expected to face today. May have to pull out GDB now. The term. Okay, so GDB. Actually, I can run this from within Emacs. GDB. Run GDB. Jeez, can't even remember how I was debugging this in the past. What was I doing? It was something else. Oh, so that's what I was doing. Nice. I need to write these things down so that the next time I will have them. Okay, so first of all, let's go into, whoa. README. No. Okay, so. Let's try that out. I'm in the main folder, so I can run this and say erratic cavern. I don't know if it's going to tell us anything more useful. Segmentation fault. Yeah, the program counter is definitely 0. Who the hell knows why? And every time I use GDB, I have to remember what the commands are. Has the right font path. Wait. This is line 85. 281, 85. So it did actually make it that far. So if we go back into font, line 85, GL Pixel Store I, GL Unpack Alignment. Oh. Weird. So, I think this is a GLFW issue. Or is it... What is it called? There's some other thing I'm using for the OpenGL. Yeah, GLAD. That's what it's called. Why is this not working now? I think what's happening is that this... So all these functions that are being used from OpenGL are basically wrapper functions. And if this one isn't set up correctly, then it might be a null pointer. The implicit declaration of function, it should be in... is it in renderer that I pulled that in? Okay, glad.ah. Glad, include, glad.h. Now, what was it called? There it is, GL Pixel Store I. So it defines an API, but the question is it wired up? It certainly was in the past. Null. Okay. So it tries to load it. Wonder what's happening. It really acts like that thing can't be called. Uh-oh, you know what? I have a feeling that it's being called before the window gets created. Yes, that's exactly what's happening. Okay, that makes sense. All of the GL functions have not been bound yet because we have not initialized the renderer. And that is a problem with the way the module order is being loaded. So in the game.msc, in game.msc, I'm pulling in erratic assets. Erratic assets loads fonts. The main file is pulling in erratic game, and that's happening before this window create happens. So OpenGL is not loaded yet, and those functions are not bound. So I have to think about the right way to cause this to happen. I think what I need then is in the assets library, I need to have a function that initiates the loading of the assets. So we can say define load all assets. And then I can take these defines, move them here, and then turn them all into set calls instead. No, I don't want the print. Set. And then until these get defined, they're just going to be nil. Okay, and then what I can do, whoa. This might be a problem though, because the game has already pulled in the assets, damn. It's not a good strategy. The alternative is for the the module that needs a particular asset to load it itself, but then that might end up having duplicate versions of assets. Actually, no. Better if I just have like an actual asset loader that can remember. Is this worth writing? I think this should be something in the Substratic engine, actually. Boy, I hope my laptop battery doesn't die. Pending charge. Fantastic. We'll see how that goes. I may have to plug that in. All right, those of you who are actually paying attention, keep an eye on my battery status here and let me know if it gets a lot lower. So I'll have to do something different. It is plugged into my docking station, but for some reason my docking station is busted. All right, so the thing I was thinking about here is whether the Substratic engine needs a concept of an asset loader. Kind of surprised I hadn't added that already. But you know, I'm not gonna put that in Substratic right now. I'm gonna prototype it for this game and then move it to Substratic once we see that it actually does something useful. So let's go back to assets.msc. We're gonna do this real simple because asset loading doesn't happen constantly. Define load asset, or how about this, load font. Name path size. So what we're gonna do is have a fonts list, which is gonna be an A list. So the name that you give it, if someone else asks for the same font and the font's already loaded, they'll just get the same font. Okay, that'll be much better. So then in this case, let font why did the music stop? There it is. It was eerily quiet all of a sudden. All right, so now we've got a font we can use. Well, actually we need to do a check first. Ooh, I have the fancy new memq function that I need to pull in. Oh no, it's this function, whatever that is. I need to save the output though. Let existing. Let me go into the deps folder to compiler. I need to change the branch I'm on. So let's go into Git and go to metaobject instead because I have some stuff going on in there that will be useful. Wait a second. Metaobject. Okay. So in this implementation, or in this version of Mesche that I have here that is much newer, I have, this may not work. This is the danger of what I had done. No, actually the VM initialization should take care of this. Okay. Sorry, talking to myself here. So I have this associate queue function, AskQ, which is just a great name. It's not my name, it's the name that is used in Scheme, which basically you give it a key and an A list and it will find the pair, I believe. Yes. It will return the key value pair that it finds under that key. So if I go back to assets, I want to use that to look up the name inside of the fonts list. And if it exists, if existing, then return the cdr of existing. Otherwise, we need to load the font and nope. Load the font and then save it in the A list. So set fonts cons name font fonts. So basically that just prepends the new font that just got loaded to the beginning of the A list so that we can find it again. Add the new font to the list. And that's totally acceptable for now. We don't need super high performance for asset loading or asset lookup because this game is not going to have a ton of assets. I mean, it's not going to have hardly any because I can't draw. So let's see. This should work in theory. I also need to export this function. This needs to go because that's incorrect. And in fact, that function can go away entirely. And also this can go away because those will be loaded in a different fashion. So now if I go back to the game file, we can have an init game function. And what do you need as a prerequisite to load fonts? Nothing, really, I think. So init game could just be a function with no parameters. And what it's going to do is call load font. We can call it result font. Do this here. We can say define result font nil. Load font. All right. Result font. And oh, I need to save those paths, don't I? Here we go. Let me steal these lines really quickly. I'm going to put them here. Ooh. Just to have them as a reference. Ouch. Okay. So the result font was this one. Okay. So that should be enough to get the font loaded. I think that's appropriate balancing. Yeah, okay. And then now I want to go into the main file again. We're about to get something on the screen, I promise. So then initialize the game. Set the current, oh, I already did that, okay. And okay, so we init the game, then we run the engine loop. So now, hopefully this should work. Am I in the wrong folder path? Hey Travis, nice to see you. The theme this time is every 10 seconds. So basically, something happens every 10 seconds, or whatever you want. And for this game, the approach I'm going with is basically a dungeon crawler, very simple dungeon crawler, where it's like NetHack, where you can take an action, but the game pauses until you take an action. Basically, once you make an action, everything else in the game has a cycle, and then you think again. Just doing it to keep things simple. And every 10 seconds, something is going to change in the game. So we'll figure out what that means whenever we make a little bit more progress. Undefined reference to Mesche core module init. Okay, cool. So that makes sense. I have what? I need to recompile. Okay. So there's a couple things that need to happen here. I have to update the main file because I have some new initialization that needs to take place. Register core modules actually has a path now that you need to provide to the core mesh modules path. Let's see if I can get there. Hello? No. Fine, whatever. Depths, mesh, compiler. I have an example of this in the test VM, I think. Right. Register core modules, and then we have that extra parameter. So that path is going to be under this. If I go back to you can hear the sound of my brain boiling now. Modules. Okay. So that will help. But also, I need to go and delete the whole bin folder of Mesche here, because some of the files are out of date now and it needs to be recompiled. Undefined reference to mesh core module init. That's total BS. Let's see what's happening there. vm.c 335 what? Oh, hold on a second. Yes, I think that I forgot to put it here. Try that again. Okay, undefined variable font text width, beautiful. Line 13. Ah, that makes sense. I haven't actually pulled in substratic font here. Okay, progress. Something else. Text width points to the 0 page. Am I passing it a null font? Oh, of course. Okay. This needs to be part of the init step. So I can put title text here, but this title text width has to be calculated inside of init after the font gets loaded. So I can take the define and put it here. It's almost like I need like a lazy to calculate it on demand. But that also requires a function call, and I don't want to be doing that every frame, and I need to render. So first we'll start this off as a nil. Whoa. Nil. And then inside of the function here, I'll say set title text width, and then paste in that whole font text deal. Okay, undefined variable update game. That's because it has not been exported. Undefined variable init game. I have not exported that either. Oh, something new this time. That looks like a memory issue. Keep buffer overflow. What did I do? With the width function? Font 168. Something wrong with a string that I'm passing into it? Title text? Title text is fine. Yes, I really need to have a format function. Haven't gotten to that yet. All right, so the text is fine. Result font should be set here. Is this why? No, can't be why. Okay, let's just ignore that for now. I'm gonna just comment that little part out, and I'm gonna say it's 160. It's gonna be wrong, but I'm just gonna put a number in because I want to see something rendering. Okay, 2 arguments begot 3, line 54. Probably in main. 54. Expected 2 arguments, but got 3. I think I'm missing something in the game render function. Oh, okay, yeah. Obviously, I need to have window height as well. More issues. This is going great. Draw texture. Deep buffer overflow. What is happening today? Something very fundamental, I think. This is in the font library again. Well, obviously, because it's the only thing we're really dealing with at this point. But renderer.c. Line 263. Why am I getting heap buffer overflows as a result of this? If I still have problems with the renderer, I might pull the ripcord and go back to the text adventure idea, because something very strange is happening and I don't have a good way to explain it yet. Doesn't make sense that is happening on this line. Read of size 4 is reading texture width. Did the font not load correctly? Is that part of the reason why this is happening? Oh, wait a second. Bad programmer. I didn't return the new font. I added it to the list, but I didn't return it. So that explains why it didn't work. So how would I catch that problem then? If the language would have helped me, I guess I need to have guards. Because I think this returns nil, which is not the type that that function is expecting. So I think I just need to have type checking in the native functions. See, there we are. It's all good. So I bet that calculation function now will also work. Yeah, I really need to have an automated way to do type checking on native functions that take mesh objects, because that should have been avoided easily. See, look at that. Now it renders. Finally, it only took an hour and 20 minutes, let's say, to get something on the screen, but at least it happened. Okay, so that's encouraging. So let's see, what next? Next would be putting a game board on the screen. So this is the game module. Let's write down some notes on design. So maybe if I go into the org file for the README. Okay. Since this is a top-down dungeon crawler, we need a grid-based map. It doesn't require scrolling or any extent larger than the current screen for now. So basically, we just need to calculate a fixed size. So I want the tiles to be, pretty chunky on the screen. This needs to be like kind of a retro style deal. And the tiles and walls will be the same size, something like 64 by 64. Very simple. It should be very easy to draw the map and the characters, and the calculations for everything should be very easy. I don't know if 64 by 64 is enough, though. It might need to be 128. It really depends on the size of the window. Let's take a look. There's two things I want to do. Let's see. Let me actually have a list of tasks. Make the window show up centered. In fact, let me make that a to-do, legit to-do. When it opens, I really want that. All right, so map.msc. Or let's call it world. Fine module. I really like how these module names sound with the naming convention, because we are living in an erratic world. So I'm debating over whether I should use classes for some of this stuff. Some of it I will definitely use classes, like the game entities, we're going to use classes, but for the map rendering, probably not the best idea. So let's just start off with some very basic stuff. So define make world width, height, because we need to have the sort of map size, and that's going to be it for now. I might turn this into a class later as we make a little bit of progress here. So for a world, well, I have to finish some stuff really quickly on class initialization. I didn't want to have to deal with that right now. So yeah, let's just do this hard-coded for the moment. So we're going to make a world. I could just use a plain record type for this right now. So maybe I'll do that. Define record world fields. I think this is the syntax. Fields width, height. Tiles, I guess you could say. And there's already a make world, so yeah, we need a new function now. Create world, let world, make world with height. And tiles is going to just be a vector or an array, basically. Make array. And that's going to be width times height. And that's not the way you write that in Scheme. Width, height. The idea being that we have an array that has the size of the map, so that then we can use that for setting positions and whatnot. So then define world tile at x, y, I guess. I also need like a define render world, or world render. Renderer world, and we'll just stick with that for now. So this can just be a loop that we'll use. Maybe we don't need that right now. These need to be exported. Exported. Export. Okay. Make that be a T for now. Also, we need to return this world here. I guess I could have just done this directly because need to do what to do there. So I want to be able to generate maps, but I don't have an algorithm for that yet. So we may have to just hard code it a little bit in the beginning. Or have a set of pre-made maps that get randomly chosen. That might actually be more fun if I have like maybe, let's say, 2 or 3 different maps that every time the game starts, it picks one of those, and then the game is based on that. At least we'll have a little bit more control over how the game feels, and we don't have to worry about writing a map generation algorithm, which is troublesome. Oh, excuse me. We also need to know what the size of the tile size. Okay, so this is going to be important for rendering. We need to know how big the tiles are. We also need a set of entities. Entities, I just spelled that correctly? Okay. The entities list would also be, this is just the list maybe? Maybe it's just the list. We don't really need to go fancy on that right now. Okay, so you can create a world, and then maybe I can checkerboard it for now. I also need an X and Y position, I think. Unless I center it. I suppose centering it could work. So if well, maybe what I could do then, I'll let the renderer decide where to render it. So world width, world, and calculate that by saying world width. Oh no, can't do that. Pixel width. There we go. How about that? World width, world times world tile size world. Same thing for height. Import that too. Okay. So now, if I go back to game, I should be able to create a world for the game. Define world. This doesn't require any assets, so I can just create it directly, I think. So create world, and let's see. Let's start with 64 tiles of 64 by 64, just see how it looks. It's probably going to be too small. We can change that as we go. So 64 times 20. 20 maybe not enough. I guess really the question is how big should the map be? Let's think in terms of the game itself. 20 tiles, 30 tiles. Let's assume it's a square. It could be wider than tall, I guess. So we can say target a world of size 30 by 20, maybe. 20 tall, 30 wide. I don't know if that's going to be appropriate. Probably doesn't match the aspect ratio, but we'll see. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so let's just go with 30, 20, and then 64. I think that's the signature, right? Width, height, tile size. Okay, so that should do the trick. So we have a world, and then we can render the world below where the text is being rendered. So render world, and X and Y position. So I'm just gonna say 0 for X right now, just to see, where it shows up on the screen. And then I'll say maybe 175 or maybe 180. I don't know, it's not gonna make a huge difference as the position where it will show up. And that should be enough to see if anything happens. Now, for rendering the world, I need to remember how to render a rectangle with substratic. If I go back to main.msc, render rect, draw rect. Okay. So render X, Y, width, height, and color. I'm just going to draw a single rectangle right now. I also need to pull in substratic renderer, I think. Is that right? Probably so. Now, color. I need to remember how to make a color. So RGB, I think I have a function. Okay, RGBA is a function that I have that will give me color. For some reason, I'm imagining the walls being orange. Don't ask me why. Let's see. What's a good orangey color? That right there would be nice. Let me do a little screen capture. I'll copy that. I don't know if you can even see what I just did. There's a little bit of an overlay because I was doing a little thing there. Oh, okay. Yeah, it did show up. That's cool. All right, so edit, paste as, new image. You know, I probably could have just done this by finding the face and pulling the color out of the face, but whatever, dude. There. All right, I have that. Now I have the HTML notation. Is that RGB? Okay, at 92, let's call it 9357. Define, no, wall color, RGB, 93, 56, 15, because I'm sort of rounding up there. All right, so that should be our wall color, and I can use that right here, wall color. And we're gonna just draw a rectangle at X, Y, and then we're gonna grab the tile size from, did I call it tile size? Cool. World tile size world, because we don't want to be, you know, calling that again every single time we draw a rectangle. Tile size. Whoa. Copy. There we go. Copy it. All right, that should be enough. We'll get one rectangle drawn on the screen, and at least we'll see that our initial data structure is working. Undefined variable create world. Did I not export that? Probably not. I did. Oh. Game needs to import create or erratic world. Define record. Oh. Is it define record type? I forgot. Make array. I think I need to pull in mesh array here also. Oh, thank you. I really helped myself here by actually giving a helpful error message. So width, height, tile. Whoa. Lispy. Back off. Tiles. Entities. Tile size, which I forgot, apparently. Okay. Wow, that is not the color I expected to see. Is that the same? It looks darker. But it is rendering. Ooh. Is running the game causing the stream to glitch out? probably a combination of game plus Firefox, eh? Apparently we have a memory leak somewhere in the input system. I wonder if I'm not keying that up correctly. Input cursor position callback. Input key callback. Let me check out what's going on in there, because I don't like having all these errors at the end. This is in input. 53. Okay, we got a malloc here. Very nice, very nice. I'm not even bothering trying to clean that up. Input mouse move event. Input event push. And where's this going to? Input state, input event. Ah, right. Okay. Input event create pointer. I'm not even using that. That explains why. Yeah, okay. Probably I stopped using that because I had issues with it whenever I was working on the game that time. But I fixed it since then, which I should be using it because that's what's happening. I'm just running pure malloc and I'm just leaking objects the whole time, which is not good, especially for mouse events, because anytime I just move the mouse around, it's going to be shedding objects the whole time. Okay, so the input state mesh object make pointer input event. Oh, interesting. Okay. So to free the object, I see what's happening here. When we push, where's the free function? Renderer window input state. Okay. So we malloc the input state. Maybe I wasn't using dev mode for this, because I was just avoiding all of the memory issues. Okay. The problem here is that Mesh needs to know how to free this object. And it does not have a free function. So we're just mallocing this object. We're allocating it and just not even trying to clean it up after the fact. That it or any of the input objects that it creates and stores. So where is it? Yeah, so first event, last event. We have this input state. And input state is never being freed. So does window get freed? Let's see. It must be getting freed correctly. So free. Okay. Window destroy. But we're not doing anything special there. What about... thought I saw renderer somewhere. User window user pointer renderer window. Okay, so just passes through to put the input state on the window. So input state, not even bothered to. It's just stashed there. Okay. So the window is not managing the lifetime of subst input state. Really, nobody is, it seems. What about in main? Do I actually destroy the window anywhere, or does that sort of happen on its own? Window needs close. Input init. So input state is an object that is handed all the way up. So then I need to look at the input init. And what am I returning? Object val. Okay. All right. Object make pointer. And yeah, I don't tell it how to free. I need a free function. So object make pointer. Let's go back to Mesche. In the object library or object module. So make pointer is managed. Make pointer type. Okay, so I would need to make a pointer type, which maybe I had started doing. Create pointer. So in window, pointer type. Do I do this anywhere? Pointer type. Yes. So for the particle system, I'm using that functionality. Cool. All right, cool. That makes sense. So let's go back to input. I should have done this before. So make pointer type. No, this is the wrong place. I need to go right about pointer. Right there. Okay, so this time we're going to say input state. And we'll say subst input state type. I know this is not really a good use of time, but it will help Substratic by not having a memory leak, because this is going to be kind of bad, honestly. Okay, so we have a subst input state type that I need to define. If I go back to this particle, particle type, where is it? Type. Ah, here it is. Okay. So I can go to the top of this file and define the subst input state type. And what I'm doing basically is just registering a new native type to Mesche so that it can be freed correctly. Input init, is that what it was? Input init, okay, so input free. And what are you unhappy about? You probably want me to pull in mesh.h, okay. Input init. And if I were to look at the free function, I can just drop it right about here probably. Particle input, sorry, subst input state. Call it input state. Then what we'll do is free the object itself. And the things that it points to think we should just null those because those should get freed also by, well, no, actually. When someone calls take, ooh, peek will return a pointer. Okay, so we're saying don't manage the lifetime of the object in that one. Also, I need to check make pointer. So when I create a particle system, make system, make object pointer to, okay, cool, cool, cool. So yeah, so take makes sense because you're basically removing it from the list. Take the first event, remove it from the linked list. Once it gets out of this list, then whoever takes it, I guess the system needs to be responsible for cleaning it up. Otherwise, not the most interesting thing in the world to watch right now. Let's see, object file, mesh, object take pointer. Hey Scott, nice to see you. So I want to use the right type for this. I also need to define that actually. So let's go do that as well. Subst input event type. Let's say input event. Put event free. Because obviously I'm never doing that. Let's see, do I actually free anything? No, nothing. Let's do this. State event. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so input event, what does it have in it? Scott says, in a perfect world, would you only code in Lisp? I would code in Scheme and C, probably. So C has, you know, things that are annoying to me. I really dislike how difficult it can be to set up project builds for C. I've considered switching to Zig for the systems programming side of things, but I wanted to see how far I could get with C before I did that, because C is just so universal that it, you know, makes sense to use it as the basis for, you know, real stuff. Okay. What was I looking for? Input.h. I'm looking for input event. It's just two doubles. So really I just need to free the object itself. So let's go back to input.c. And then that free function will just do this. And for the input free func, I need to go through the linked list and free anything that's in there. So free all remaining events. I need to walk the list. Do I already have something for that? And the event, wait, hold on. How is this a linked list if there's no way to link between them? First event, last event? Oh, there's specializations. And there's a next event, okay. Crap. I need to look at the event kind and free it correctly based on kind, because otherwise we're not gonna free the right amount of memory. Okay. Am I looking at kind anywhere in this file? Pool val, sure. All right, all right, all right. Let's just get this done fast, okay? let's do this. Input event free. Now, mesh, well, I don't really need that. This is just an object at this point. So subst input event, because I need to use this in two places. Input event free, input event, okay? Let's drop this in here. I need to free it based on the right size. No, do I didn't do that? Maybe the memory system knows based on the pointer. Okay. Let's just undo this a little bit. I think that's not necessary. All right, so if I have subst input event equals input state first event. Do I actually use null? It's not null. Gotcha. This needs to change too. Make pointer, no. Hello to Dreiser76. Or drizer. Yeah, this peak is sort of the problem that I'm thinking about. Because I need to return an object. It would be nice if it was of the correct type. Maybe it doesn't matter. I'll just leave it like that for this one. Scott says, I've been using EXWM, but I think I'm switching to DWM because it's just like too much Emacs. Is that a thing? Well, yeah, I switched to Erbsluft window manager because I wanted things to be a little bit more stable. But there's things about Erbsluft that I don't like either. I kind of like the way that some things worked in EXWM regarding workspaces and whatnot. I don't want to go into it right now, but if I have time, I might look for an alternative to Erbsluft. There's things I do like about Erbsluft, like the tabs in the same workspace, but the way that it deals with workspaces on multiple displays is really annoying to me. All right. That's all good right there. Take needs to use the right type though. So make pointer type. Instead of true here, this needs to be the subst input event type. Yeah, that's good. Because now we say bye-bye and we let the memory manager take care of freeing that correctly and calling the correct function to free it. Let's get out of here, man. This is taking too long. Okay, so free all remaining events while, whoops, I'm writing scheme inside of C. While event is not null. Event equals event, next event. Next event, complete, please, thank you. So I need to store that before subst input event this equals event. Free this. Okay. That should work, I think. If it doesn't work, we'll find out really fast that it doesn't work. I think it's enough. Let's see if the code runs correctly now. All right, so I'm gonna try to close out the window. Still complaining about memory leaks. Line 53. No. Oh, it's allocated from line 53. But what are you talking about? Input key callback, line 35. This is the function itself. I don't understand what it's complaining about. So did it Did it pilot correctly? Oh, no, I've got an error in the code. Incompatible type for argument 3 of mesh object make pointer type. Subst input state type. I need to use an ampersand there. Okay, fine. Event type. Okay, so that's why it didn't work. It needs to build correctly first. Something else happened. Oh, okay, null. That one. Jeez. Input free func undeclared. What? Oh, is it because it's not defined yet? I need to do the pre-declaration. Let's see. What does particle C and H do? Let's see. Particle C. I see. All right. So you have to define the function first. That's fine. It makes sense. So in that case, in input.c, the free functions need to come first. Input free and input event free both need to come first before we define those types. Not really the best place to put these, but you know, what can you do? Aha. I think I fixed it. No more memory leak. That's great. Okay, so now let's go find out what current updater is complaining about. That would be in probably main. Current updater. Updated. Explains it. Not defined. Okay. Why can't I close the game? Like, I can't even kill it. That's really weird. Interesting. So does it reach a point where oh man. So window needs close. Let me check out the window library. Window needs close. So it pulls events, which is good. We need that. Why does it never return the right thing? Let's just write out that we're in here. So yeah, it's no longer responding to events. I wonder what I broke. It can't be because of the changes I made. I mean, it can be because it happened as after I made those changes, but am I using the wrong key binding? Is that why it's not working? Okay, let's close GIMP. Yeah, so Super Q ought to be killing the game, but it's not. I don't know why. If not, whoa, this is backwards, right? If not window needs closed, if window needs closed, we just exit. I'm very confused. I'm very confused. So display should close. Oh, you know what? I think that's the problem. Watch this. Yeah, should close. I made a stupid mistake. So where did I say that? Yeah, until the updater returns nil. So I shouldn't have put T there. Excuse me. That was my mistake. So if the window does not need to be closed, then update the renderer. Otherwise, return nil. And if you don't put the else case, it just returns nil. So here we go. Now it will close. Sorry, folks. I just have to remember how my stuff works. Okay, now it closes and no more memory leak. So huzzah, we got that fixed. Let me go into the Substratic code and commit this because I need this change for the future. Okay, so now input free input events pointers input system and event pointers correctly. Just change the remote. Fantastic. Set the origin URL to git@github.com/substratic/engine. Okay, now let's push. What? No. Don't do that. Push it. Great. Now that's saved. Let's see. Scott says, I think I just want Emacs on one workspace tab and browser gaming, whatever on the others that Emacs doesn't handle that well. Yeah, that is a problem. I do like it better not having Emacs control everything right now, because it makes everything a little bit more stable. So I'm with you on that. So let's get back to world rendering. How about that? I think we're at a point now where we can start trying to make this world look like a real world. First of all, we can just do a little nice loop, let loop. And draw like a checkerboard pattern, maybe. So map X is, let's see. We'll start at X. Map Y starts at Y. And then, no, actually, let's do this. Because we need to index into the array. You know, if we're not doing random access on the map data, interesting. If we're not doing random access in the map data, then having it be an array makes less sense, because if it's a list, we can very easily traverse the list to render everything without having to do extra calls for lookup, because it's much easier to reach into a const pair to pull out whatever the next thing is to render. We'll go with this for now, and then we'll see maybe about changing it to an array later. We just need to get something on the screen. Map X, map Y. So we will draw at map X times tile size plus X. So the starting X position plus map X times tile size, okay? Same thing for Y. Oh, come on. Map Y tile size, okay? So the reason why is because we're going to iterate over map X and Y. We're going to do that until we reach the end. In fact, Okay. That's fine. Let's do it this way. I need to have an end state. So if, no, okay. So equal map y world, don't want to overshadow that function, but maybe it doesn't matter. World size y, world height. Okay, let's call it this. Y max. Y max. Or max y. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just saying, like, if we finally reach the, you know, the boundary of y, then we're done. Otherwise, we're going to be rendering and then looping. This needs to be in a begin. And then we can say loop. And we're gonna calculate what the next x and y is going to be. We're going to do some funky little stuff here. So we have modulo. So if the world width is 30, we want it to cycle This is going to be interesting, but we'll see what it does. So plus map x1. We're going to modulo that with the max x. So this will be, like, let's say we're at position number 3. It'll be 4 modulo max x, which should still be 4. But if this is, like, let's say 31, then this should return 1. And then for the y, I think we will do a division plus map x1, because map x is what we're sort of iterating on. And let's see. Map x1 divided by max x. Yeah, so, ooh, no, we can't do that because it's not going to be the right thing. So map x plus 1 divided by max x. I think if we add that to map y, the idea being that we are trying to increment map y only when map x divided by map x plus 1 divided by max x returns 1. And that should only happen whenever map x reaches 30 or whatever the x size is. A little bit convoluted. So I also need to clamp this. So I don't know, like, what math function I have for that. Let's see, object. Just want to jump back into this project. Floor. Okay, floor is what I want. Math floor. Turn it into an integer. Floor. This needs to be an integer. All right, I'm going to pull in mesh math here also. Okay. I don't know if this is going to work. Maybe I should write out the calculations. New x. Yes, I know. I really need a format function. Okay, we'll copy this also. I just want to sort of get a reading on these as they increment. Well, it seems to be working. And it seems to be drawing a rectangle, so let's see. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. Glad you stopped by. Okay, so it does render. And it seems to be maybe the right size. What if I change the height of the map a little bit? So if I go back to main, I created the world that was what size? Where is it? Create world. Oh, maybe that's in game. Game.msc. Create world. Okay. 30 by 20. What if I do 15? Can I tell a difference? Okay, yeah, so maybe a few more tiles there. I could probably make this title text smaller so it's not so massive. 18. Another thing I want to do. Yeah, that's actually kind of nice. Another thing I want to try is to not render every single one. So for... if trying to do a little calculation here. Map X basically what I'm trying to do is based on the tile position. That's what I wanted to do. Like rise over run, right? Uh-huh. Okay, so that's what it is. Oh. Times map Y by max X. Max X. All right, so this is temporary. I'm just doing it as a way to checkerboard the pattern effectively. I mean, I could use a variable for this if I wanted to also, but it's cheating. 2. If it equals... So modulo of 2, if it equals 0. Let's try that. And we'll delete this. Hopefully that checkerboards it. Nope, does not checkerboard it. I think it needs to be 1. I think that's gonna work, is it? No, of course not. 3? Maybe 3. Ah! Why is it not right? Map Y times max X, like the number of rows, so if it's... Yeah, I think it's too regular, the calculation here. Not so smart. What if I just add map Y to it instead? That's going to give us some freaky effects, I think. Let's see. Oh, okay, there we go. So checkerboard. I just wanted to see what the tiles look like, how big they are. Should they be a little bit bigger, maybe? That's really messing with my eyes, I have to say. Also, I want to calculate in game.msc the size of the world. So define world render X, world pixel width world That needs to be calculated though once I have access to the screen size. I don't want to have to do this every time, but actually it's not that bad, so maybe it's okay to do that. Let's just do a little let here. World X. I don't think there's a variable called that. So similar to how I calculated this here. In fact, I could probably just steal this. So window width divided by 2, and then I'll just take the pixel world width divided by 2 to center the game board. Wrap this. And then, oh, also need to wrap the world rendering. Well, I'll put the world X. We'll say world Y. So, oh, what was that? It was 180, I think. Yeah, okay, 180. So here we'll say world Y, and whoops, and copy this. Window height. And we're also going to add 180 to it to offset it a little bit. All right. So I think this should give us a more centered game board now. Yeah. Maybe I don't offset it. Maybe I just let it be. I think it might actually work pretty well without it. It needs a little bit of offset. Or I just need to get rid of that title. Now that I've seen that the world renders correctly, let's just get rid of that entirely. Okay, so we have a game board. Looks kind of like a checkerboard, I guess. The question is this going to be big enough to have enough room to do interesting things? Maybe it's fine. I can make it a bit bigger. So maybe add, let's say, 2 rows and maybe 4 columns, let's say. So make this 20, make this 34. Oops. That seems a bit better. You could probably make it a little bit wider too, but I need to retain some room for status information. So actually, maybe I do want to go back to 18 on this. And then I could not exactly center it. I could have it moved up a little bit so that there could be some stuff written at the bottom. So once I get that, then things will start to look a little bit more real. I still don't know why this color looks so terrible. That is just like the worst shade. Let me try describe face. Yeah, that one. And you have the, I need to convert HTML color to RGB. So let's do this. Right. Let's move that. I want to make sure that it updates the numbers correctly. Okay. 99, 59, 12. RGB 99, 59, 12. If this is correct. 99, 59, 12. That's going to be in world, color, 99, 59, 12, I think it was. Not very different than what was there already. Yeah, it's still so dull. Let me find another color that I like better. Get out of here. We'll brighten it up a little bit, maybe. 95, 67, 35. Ugh. Now it's so pale. But you know what? It's fine. We'll stick with that for now. Okay, so now that we actually have tiles rendering, we need to actually have real map data to make this look interesting. So since we know what the overall shape is, I could actually try to do this. So define a world 1. It's 34, right? 34. Okay, so I think that's 34. So I'm going to go copy this whole row. (34 by 18). So I need 18 rows of this. Maybe I'll do sublists so that things work a little bit more easily, and I can copy them more easily. So let's get rid of this little bit again. It's 18. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay. All right, so that is the data for a map. So the thing that sucks about this is now if I want to edit this, there's not really an easy way to do it with editing commands, I think. So I would have to go manually change every little number, but that's okay. I mean, maybe it's not so bad. It'd be really nice if there was a way, though. Okay. Check this out. Got a little room here. So the zeros will be floor tile and ones will be wall tile. And we're just gonna try to like create the shape of the world. In fact, maybe I should not define this here. I should define it in the game itself. And then pass it in as a parameter to the world, potentially as like the initial shape. Or I could even have a worlds module where these get defined so that they're not, you know, mixed into everything else. How about that? I know this is a little bit ridiculous. Define module erratic worlds. And we don't need to import anything because this is just really simple stuff. I'm gonna go down to the bottom and then throw a little export on this so that it comes out. We might add some extra metadata to it at some point. So we got world 1 here. I'm gonna go back in the game. I'll say erratic worlds. And then I'll pass in world 1. I'll go to world.msc, and now the create world function will take in a world data parameter. So, you know, I'm still considering the possibility of using a list instead of an array, because it would simplify how things work. If I were to, let's think about that actually. If I were to have an entity at a particular location in the game map, what would, how would I represent that? I guess it wouldn't matter. I would just render on top after the fact. So rendering the map is the same every time. Okay. Maybe I just make this a list. Okay. It could be a list of lists. I'm trying to think if it's better to have a list of lists or just flatten it. I think flattening it makes everything a lot easier. And the reason why I didn't do that in the data here is because it's easier to edit, but maybe I'll just take it out. Let's just do this. Make my life easier. Okay, so that's just a flat list. Looks very nice, right? Okay, so then this could just be world data. It doesn't need to be an array. World data. Or tile data, maybe we could call it. Tiles. Okay, so we got tiles and entities. We don't need anything for that right now. So here in the loop, what we'll do is we will also have a tiles list that starts at world tiles. And then we will just clear that every time. In fact, maybe let's make that the first item in the call. Footer tiles. I suppose instead of using this check here, I could just check if tiles is nil or empty list. So instead of doing this little job now, I can change the behavior to if car tiles equals 1, then draw that. Otherwise, don't draw anything. Try that. Oh, too many. Wow, too many constants in one chunk. Oh boy. I have not run across that before. That's really interesting. Funny. So, how many is this? 34 times 18? 612. So what is the constant limit in a function in Mesh? Object. No, chunk is what I need to look at. So chunk.h constants. Constant add. Let's go into chunk.c constant add. Who's complaining about this? Oh, compiler make constant? Okay. The compiler is not happy. Too many. uint 8 max. Yeah, and I left a note for myself saying we're gonna need to make sure we have 16 bits instead of just 8 bits because it's not enough. I think unit 8 max is like 256, and obviously the number we just calculated is 612. So that's not enough. And to change that actually means changing some fundamental nature of Mesche constants. Because the VM expects a constant index to be a byte. To make it 2 bytes would change how constants get stored and read. Let me just see how much work that would be, because for this language to be usable for more than just toy programs, it's gonna have to, support more range, I think. So OP constant, the read, come on now, read constant macro is reading a byte. So it indexes values by reading the byte. Read short. I have a read short. Yeah, okay. So I can read a short and use that as an index if I want to. So when I write out the jump in the compiler, OP jump, emit jump. So I basically just write the 2 bytes out in that order. I get to control what the endianness is because it's my VM. So yeah. So this byte gets patched. And I think I would have to do some bit shifting to write out the right bytes for a short. Emit, no. So what does it do? When it patches, patch, jump, okay. Yeah, it's shifting by 8 and masking it. Oh, excuse me. Okay. I don't know why they're doing the and against FF. Ah. Oh, okay. To trim off anything that's above. Okay. I got you. Gotcha. Makes sense. Okay. It's conceivable that we could change the limit on that. The alternative would be that we could read in the data from a file but I think it would have the same problem. Because to read in the data from a file, well, you're not storing it in the constants list, at least. You read it from a file. You're storing it in memory. And a list doesn't have a limit. Ah, that's really annoying. All right, I'm going to take a 2-minute break and think about it, and I'll come right back, okay? Be right back. All right. So just thinking about it a little bit, and right now I don't think I have a way to open files in Mesh. So there's a FS library. I don't think that any of this stuff is actually exposed, is it? Yeah, so I have functions for, checking if files exist or looking at directories, but I don't actually have anything for reading in the content of a file and then processing it. So it might actually be easier, as weird as it sounds, to try to extend the limit of constants in the language to write all this in the language itself for now. Get a little bit of a banana power going on here. We have some more folks watching on Twitch. Let's see. So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna have to change the constant handling in the language, which is great though. I actually do want that to happen because it's a limitation that there's a few limitations to the language that I want to break through, and this would be one of them. Let me see if I can check the code. Which I'm looking for chunk. So we don't pre-allocate an array that's the size of the number of constants. We actually have an array that can grow based on the number of constants that have been pushed in. So that's good. It's really just a matter of updating the VM and the compiler to support it. Compiler.c. We'll do a similar thing to this. Compiler emit constant. Okay. Emit bytes, make constant value. So it's not emit bytes anymore. We're gonna have to grab the, let's see, what does make constant return? Probably a uint 8. Yep. Okay, so this would be a uint 16t. We'll change this to 16 max. No. And then uint 16t there. And we could remove that. To reconsider. Consider increasing this later. Okay. So mesh constant add. Mesh chunk constant add. It returns an integer. Okay, cool. So that is fine. So we need to go back to the emit function and to handle this correctly. So what we'll do is grab the result of compiler make constant, uint 16t, constant index. All right, so now we have that, and then we can do an emit of bytes. Ooh, emit byte. Yeah. Okay. Emit bytes. I can emit the first one, which is going to be the constant index. Okay. And then the next one would be just emit byte. So we're emitting 2 bytes on this emit bytes, and now we're just going to emit 1 byte, which is the remaining of the short. I can copy this and then remove the shift. So if you don't know what's happening here, we're taking a 16-bit number and we're chopping it in half so that we can write it out into a byte stream. So when we emit a byte, it just sort of adds it to the end of the list of bytes in a function chunk for the compiler. And since we want to write out the higher order part of the 16-bit number first, we shift it to the right, and then we mask it against 1 byte so that we get just the set of bits that are from the higher 8 bits of the 16-bit number, and we emit that first, along with the OP constant instruction. We could have just done emit byte for OP constant, which maybe let's just do that so it's clearer what's actually happening. So I'll take this little part off, and I'll drop it right here and delete this. Whoops. Okay, so now this can just be emit byte, and that's all good. All right, cool. That should work. Let's see. Wicked Side Reel says, hello, what is the theme for the Dare? It is every 10 seconds, I believe. Yeah, every 10 seconds is what it is this time. Sounds pretty fun. Okay. So then this should emit the constant correctly. So we need to update 2 more things. One is the disassembler needs to expect that this is going to have a short disassemble constant instruction. So now this is going to be a uint 16, and we can't just pull the chunk. I think what we can do is say, oh, you know, we have some prior art here. Slot 1, slot 2. Yes. I think that's exactly what we need for constant also. Let's do this. Constant. Uint 16t, chunk code offset +1, shifted left by 8, and then ORed with the low order byte. So constant. Okay, cool. So that will take care of reading out that constant correctly for disassembly, which is important because we need to be able to print this out. And then in the VM, we need to go change the code for reading the constant. We're going to read a short instead, OP const. And here we're going to read a short. Simple. All right. So wait, yeah. Yes. Read short. Yes. Okay. So instruction pointer -2 -1. Ah, okay. Gotcha. So it's moving the head forward, but then looking backwards to read the bytes. All right. Did we change any header files? No. So it should be able to recompile this fine. See if it works. This could break everything in the language, so I hope it doesn't. VM 1483. Read constant. Read size 8. Something I'm doing is wrong. Let me make sure that the code can recompile correctly. Okay, it seems to have recompiled with no complaints. This should have worked. problem is, can't be sure how far the code is getting. You know what? Let's actually just do this. I'm going to turn on debugging for the compiler. That's the wrong. Compiler.c. Am I there already? Yeah. Okay. Uint 8 count. There's another limitation, as you can see. It is only 8 bits for local value counts, but yeah, that's more reasonable. I mean, how many functions are you going to have, you know, more than 256 local variables? That's a little bit ridiculous, especially in a language like Scheme. I need to turn on this debug print code. I want to see what the disassembler says. Interesting. Oh, disassemble constant instruction, disassemble line 19. Whoop. Okay, so. Line 19 right here, the constant index, it doesn't like. So we have the string, which is read global. That's not right though, because it should be read constant, shouldn't it? Okay. I'm flushing it before I try to read the value. Why is it read global then? Printf, the constant is, I just want to make sure I see what the real value is. The constant. Whoops, I forgot a closing semicolon. Constant is 32. Is that right? Let's also put some debug messages in the compiler code. Emit constant. I want to make sure that we're not doing anything stupid here. Printf, emitting constant. Yes, I know. Shouldn't be using print statements for debugging, but this is just the way I operate. What can I say? Because maybe something's wrong here. So that shows us there's something wrong already. Constant index is 0. We shift it left, which does nothing. So the first byte should be 0. In fact, how about we do this? Let's just see what we're writing out. I think something else is wrong too, because we shouldn't be reading global. Oh, hold up. I think I screwed up something in the disassembler. Yes, this needs to change. Ha 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 ha. What? I didn't do anything? This is really strange. Offset +1, offset +2. The constant definitely cannot be 32, if it even is a constant. Oh. Oh, hold up. Why are these const instructions? That doesn't make sense. I don't think that's right. So, all right, read global. Let me go back to the compiler. It's a byte. So, I think I must have just like copied and pasted some stuff wrong in here. This does not seem right to me. Who knows why I did that? That's why you shouldn't be copying and pasting things in your code, kids. Simple instruction, blah, 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 byte instruction, const instruction, only for const. There we go. Anything more? All right, we're making some progress. Emitting constant 2. Can I see a place where constant 2? Okay, great. Now what the problem is? Now what is the problem if I want to speak in proper English? All right, so let's go to the constant is. I'm going to delete that line so that we have our nice little output. All right, so we're running again. So we got all the code we need. So OP constant. There's a -1. That's not right. How could that happen? Reading it back incorrectly? What function is this? It's a simple function where we're reading a constant and a couple of up values, I think, and making a tail call. Must be some kind of anonymous lambda somewhere. -1 is definitely not the correct number. However, that doesn't mean that it's actually being read out that way. But, you know, maybe I should go into VM and try to read constant. So, where is read constant used? Why is this? Yeah. OP closure. Whenever OP closure executes, all right, I think that's the problem. So let me check other locations where this might be used. Read constant. Just okay, what? Did I not just see another one? Yeah, okay. Why did I see that in the search results? In OP closure. So it must be writing out its own constant value. Or maybe it emitted it. Let's see. Compiler, closure. Okay, there we go. There it is. So we have a closure being written out incorrectly. Or it's trying to write out a constant. Let's see where else compiler make constant is being called here. A couple places. So we can't just do plain old emit bytes anymore. That's interesting. Okay, so maybe there are instances. This is for reading a value. Compiler parse symbol. I don't like that. Okay, this is more complicated than I thought it would be. Not exactly what we wanted from a game competition stream. But we're gonna go with it and see what we can do anyway. So compiler parse symbol. Declare the variable and exit if we're in a local scope. Now, where is parse symbol being used? Oh, a lot of places. Holy crap. So define variable. This is why those other oh shit. This is why the other ones are using the const function. That's because they actually do write out a const value. So we need to fix all the references. This really needs to be a type def. Variable constant. Define variable. Define variable. Define variable. Constant. Parse symbol. So this needs to be unit 16t. Parse symbol itself needs to return a 16t. Okay. So really, these things that I changed here are the blueprint for all of the things that need to be updated. So in fact, I should probably go back and, well, no, let's leave them here for right now because I want to see them. So exporting a symbol and defining and reading globals. That's the places where this actually matters. So compiler make constant is returning a uint16t at this point. All right, and then we have compiler parse symbol. Compiler parse symbol. So we have this variable constant here, parse identifier, and we have this emit bytes. This needs to change. I think I need a new function that can emit a constant. Emit const. Yes, I think what I need to do is have the emit constant function. Why does it have a nil value there? Oh, makes sense. Okay, cool. And what is nil val then? Number 0. This is a plain old value. Okay, so emit constant value. All right. So we have emit byte and emit bytes. We need a way to emit a function that needs to read a constant. How about this? So instir and then 16 const. It's constant. How about that? And then constant index, is that what I called it? Yeah. All right. So let's copy. Whoa. What happened? Copy that code and go back up. Emit const emit const instruction. Drop it here. And don't need that. Just use constant. We can say instruction here. Fix that. Fix that. Delete these two. Okay. So now anything that is going to be reading a constant needs to use this emit constant instruction instead. So emit constant. Now that we have the index, we can use emit const instruction, constant. You just call this directly, make constant. Just like it was before. Okay. Now, make constant. Oops, make constant. Make constant. So that was for parse symbol. Parse symbol. Actually, let's look for the emit for any of these things that we know we need to change. So one of them is going to be set global. Damn. We parse a symbol, but we still parse an expression. Okay, it's for the set, right? Okay. I think we need to just, yeah, okay, let's do this. Arg is an int, okay, const instruction. Okay. And we also need to move this parse expression right up here. This is where things get dangerous. If I make mistakes, then the whole compiler just blows up. But I think that was right. Also, we need to do OP read global. Hey, Travis. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I hope to see you again this weekend. Variable constant. Okay, this is easy. What is this to do? I did that. Okay. So emit const instruction, read global. Okay. What was the other one? I can go back into disassembler and fix the ones that I've, or revert the ones I've fixed. So set and read global, I got. Define global. Emit bytes. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully this works. We're gonna have a real big problem if it doesn't. Variable constant, this needs to change. Who's calling this function? Define variable ex. Variable constant, that needs to change. Fine variable. That's fine. That's not fine. Another one. Another one. So, yep, 16. I'm gonna export these into a list. What did I just do? Create another Emacs? That was smart. Come on, back out now. Go. Okay. Okay. So, that symbol count, no, I don't care. Field count. Why can't I scroll? Find variable EX. I think that also needs to return a 16 because this should be a yeah, a constant. Variable constant. That const instruction. And we would do what? We're not returning anything from here. It's a very strange function. Maybe it's okay now. I mean, we'll just have to compile it and see what happens. Everything will blow up. I think that's what's going to happen. Ooh, 1063. That can't be right. Shit. Did I just destroy the whole world? Or is it right? OP const. Ah. Right. So, where did we stop? Define global. Okay, I think define global got, hold on. OP define global. Yes, now I need to go back and fix that. Let me check OP export symbol. OP export symbol. Oh, really? Okay, so that's like dead code, basically. Fine. So I can go back and get rid of that chunk too. Now I can recompile this. Maybe it will read that one part right. Okay. Interesting. OP constant. Still got a -1. That cannot be right. And I can't believe that there's only this many constants in the code that is read so far. It seems very unlikely to me. So I think it's only gotten through reading the, yeah, it's like the core library. I see the core library functions here. Excuse me. Load module, run, keep buffer overflow. So 1483. Let's check out vm.c. 1483. Reading the constant for a closure. Yeah, I think that's the same line. So why is it that it's being written out as -1? OP closure. Still a problem. Okay, that's why. So emit const instruction. Instruction. Interesting. Compiler make constant. Let me just... Another one, huh? Okay. Compiler make constant. Make sure that every place where we're using that gets written out correctly. I think this should fix that now. Something else is wrong. OP const. Do we make it even less far? Yes. I think that OP closure also needs to be updated in the disassembler because the OP closure instruction. No. Yes. Okay, that's what the problem is. So constant really should be reused code, I think. We will read the constant correctly. And we need to make sure that we... Ooh, why is it doing offset plus plus? Probably because offset gets used down here. Oh, it's got all the locals and stuff in there too. No, here, let's do this. I want to do this offset shift after. Hopefully that fixes it. Okay, so read the closure correctly, but then the constant that comes after seems to be wrong. I think this needs to be plus equals 3. What? One, 2, plus equals 3. Plus 1, plus 2. Then we add 3 by the end. So OP closure. I don't know why this is like written directly inside the case. I can only blame myself for that. Chunk constants values. We're pulling the function out. Ooh, offset minus 2. What's that about? We get the constant index. And it seems to be right because we're writing out the function correctly right here. Yeah, so we see there's a loop function. That's great. And then the next thing shouldn't be OP constant. I believe it should be whether there's any locals or up values. So how does it know? We did plus equals 3 on the offset. Oh, okay, it's reading the up value count to see whether there's anything to read there. So let me actually print out some stuff here. Expecting up value. Just to see what might be happening. Okay, it doesn't seem to be expecting any up value. And we return the offset after. It should be all good. Printf up value count. And yeah, that comes from inside the function, so it should be safe. Function up value count. And let me throw a little new line in there. Up value count 0. Okay. Interesting. So this should just be returning directly, and it sees OP constant right after, but it's pulling in 256, which seems wrong to me because that's like right at the boundary of 8 and 16-bit, I think. Okay, OP closure. And OP constant. OP closure. OP. Maybe something is going wrong when writing out OP closure. Make constant, object val function, make constant. So make constant. Constant add. Does it write out? Why is there an OP constant right after it? This closure is taking care of writing and reading the constant. All right, let me just check the actual code. Disassembler line 19. So the constant is wrong. It was able to tell that it was an OP constant instruction. But what is OP constant if we go to op? Ah, it's 1. Okay. I think we're not offsetting enough. Because this value here is 1. OP closure. You know, this should be enough, shouldn't it? Like plus equals 3. Closure is 1 byte, OP closure. And then the 2 bytes of the constant value. Unless I'm wrong about that. So if I go back to read the, let's see, offset. So offset does not move forward automatically. If we were to go look at, let's say, this simple instruction. Offset gets changed after the instruction gets read. So in this location here of OP closure, disassembling that, +1 is correct, +2 is correct, plus equals 3 should be fine. Because then these offset values, well, we'll leave that alone for now. You know, what if I did this? Maybe not so smart, but even worse. I think we're back to where we started. No, not even. 154. Okay. Yes, so offset needs to be incremented before these if I were to do it that way. And I think we should be back to where we were. Yeah, so we still got a problem here. I have no idea what's happening. Let me just, well, that's kind of fine, I think. We'll leave it like that. Let's do this, just to see what it does. I'm curious. Oh, did it make progress? Okay, I don't like that. Something seems incorrect. Read memory. Read global fold R. Closure. Oh, okay. Did we have an issue then with it seems like something extra is getting emitted after OP closure. Am I missing something? Right at, oh, right at the references to each up value as arguments to OP closure. Well, if value count is 0, which it was in that one function's case, then this doesn't write anything out. So, I'm very confused. Let's try this. That was the original problem we saw. That seems wrong, though, anyway. I mean, I shouldn't have to do that. There's something after that. Byte, byte, byte. That's right. Emitting constant 1, which we see here. Let's see. Closure. Can they just add the freaking semicolon for me? So, none so far? Something is very wrong about this. Now I'm questioning whether this was worth the time. I really do want to finish this, but I think that it's wasting time from actually making progress in the game. And I don't want to start the afternoon stream dealing with this. I want the afternoon stream to be focused purely on writing game logic, because otherwise we're not going to make enough progress. So, the reason why we started this is we need a way to write out the, or read in the game board as data. And I do not want to write a native function in C for this purpose. Exposing a way to read in the whole board as a string could work, because then I could do some string processing on it. Like basically if I had functions that could read, I could open a file and then read its content as a string. Then string manipulation functions to maybe split it into tokens. That would probably be a better use of our time. So what do I have to that end? Do I have any kind of string splitting functions in string, probably not. Split. I have join. I don't even know if I have that. Okay, so string join is there. I could do string split. Because I could just use a string toke. Am I using it anywhere already? Toke. I feel like I was. Okay, process.c. Yeah, I knew I did somewhere. Filthy hack. Okay. So if I could read in the whole file, I could just have a function for that to make things easy in fs.c. I already do have a function for that read all, file read all, that returns a string. So it's conceivable that I could actually read in the whole thing as a string and then return it back and then do string processing on it. Probably should have just done it to begin with, huh? Would have made things a little bit easier. So if we were to imagine what that would look like, if I were to go back to worlds and then copy all the contents here, go into assets folder, worlds, world1.txt, because why not? Boom. Now I'll go delete all of this leading white space. No such file directory. Yeah, whatever. Yes, create it. Okay. We can see there's 18 lines. Cool. And then this should be 66. So that would be 34 times, no, 32 times 2 plus 2. Okay. So we still have the ability to have a map. How fast can I do this? First of all, I need to go back and just remove all that damage I did to the compiler just now. All right, let's, we're gonna make a new branch for that. What else have I got here? I should probably check in project.msc. So add core.c to project.msc. And then, how did standard int get put in there? So all these changes, disassembler and VM changes. So this all seems to be related to the constant change. Okay. So what I'm going to do is make a new branch starting at metaobject, constant 16-bit. And then I'm going to check these in as sort of like an in progress commit. So in progress support for 16-bit constant addresses. All right, and I'm going to push this up to the remote because I want to make sure I don't lose it. Again. So I will set the remote to git at github.com /mesh-lang/compiler, and then push it up there. Okay, now we're going to go back to the meta object branch. No. Before the mess that I created. And then we should just get back to the point where it complains, yeah, too many constants in one chunk. That's fine. Now, we can go back to worlds.msc and then basically just delete this file, I think. So we can delete worlds.msc. Let's make sure world1 is all good. Okay, before I go deleting that file. Yes, kill the buffer. And then in game, what I can do is go into, wow, world.msc. I can export a function, define read world data file path. So what I would need to do this, let's just write the code and then we can write the underlying code to make it work. World string is, let's see, scheme read entire file. I wonder if they have just a simple function for that. I know that there's like the whole port thing. Yeah, I would love to use load, but I don't have that set up yet. All with input file. I could just do a really simple ACKI thing inside of FS. File read all, potentially. It's not really standard. So I can use this as the underlying function. And what else? Let's see, mesh fs. FS. Okay, that's the convention. Okay, let's steal this function definition. Where do we put that? Read all after modified time. Okay, go right there. File read all, and then file name string is the first argument. We do not need to do this job here. We can just straight up call the what is it? Mesh fs file read all, which is the same thing. Okay. Whoa. Read all MSC. Okay. I need to create a string based on it. So object string file contents equals mesh object make string VM mem, and the characters would be the result of mesh fs file read all with file name str. Let's just call this file path. It needs to be as string. Whoa. Okay. Object val file contents. Okay, then this can be file path. The language server totally got jacked up on that line. Okay. I think this is copacetic. Now, does this function need any other parameters? Length. Okay. Alrighty. So let's grab like the actual result of this, because I need to get the length string. That's going to be a car star file content. Okay. Probably just skip the intermediate step here. So file contents, Sterling file contents. That should be enough. So I can take what? whatever. Dump it right here. No intermediate variable. Okay. And I need to finish this one right here. File read all as string file path. That should be fine. Incompatible pointer types passing object string to parameter of type const char. Oh, okay. There's another function. No. It's this. It's this. String. String. Oh, come on. Language server totally aborted. Object.h. As string. I think there's an as C string, isn't there? Yeah, as C string. That's what I want. Okay. There. Those don't even need the macro, but let's just use it anyway. As C string, since, you know, that's sort of the acceptable way to do it. Okay, you should be happy now, but the language server is dead, so. Now we can read the whole file as a string. Question is, can I print it out? So if I say world string, and we first need to pull in mesh fs for this. File read all assets slash worlds world1.txt. Yep. And then we can just write it out and see what it looks like. So display world data, display world string, display new line. And then in game, you know, it doesn't matter. Is read, what is it? Read world data. And I need to just copy the path that I have in here because I shouldn't have done that. Export this. Dump that path there. Now I should be able to run this. Undefined variable file read all. Oh, right. It's in this one that... No. 27. File read all. Did it? Maybe I had a compiler error. Okay. File path is a pointer. This is from fs in function file read all. File read all MSC. As object. Maybe I should have done args0 here. In fact. Hey, it worked. Look at that. I was able to read in the whole string. Now, I've got a memory leak. And that's coming from this. I need to free the original file contents. After I create the string based on that, I need to free the contents. That seems to be the case. That's fine. So what we'll do is actually put an intermediate variable for this so we can free that string right after. I'm glad I have this thing hooked up. The address sanitizer, so it can tell me whenever I have, you know, dumb memory leaks like the one that you just saw, because I would not have caught that otherwise. I would have just left it, you know, hanging. Free the string that we read from the file. free file contents. Saves me from doing dumb things. I guess you could say that if I were to use a language that prevents me from writing such code, then it would be better. Which, you know, you might be right actually, but that's not what we're doing. Not what we're doing right here. So as C string, that's all good. File contents. This needs to be file contents str. Boom. No more problems. Undefined variable world 1. That is correct. So now we have the world data string. So the next thing we would need is a string function that can split based on a delimiter. So string split and basically return a list. So if I have a string split MSC, let's just go write that, huh? Gonna paste that in. String split MSC. Now, the first thing that I need is the actual string object string str equals as string args 0. We also need a delimiter. For now, we're just going to treat it as a single string. So the way this would look in practice, go back to world.msc. So string split world string, and the delimiter would be, oof. We need to eat all the new lines too. So obviously we want to split on string. Let me take a look at the string toke syntax. C string containing the delimiters, these may vary from one call to another. So the idea is that you have a constant string, which is a problem actually, because it's not going to be a constant that I pass into it. Oh, right. Okay. But that's not what I'm asking. I see. Yeah, you know, technically I could write my own implementation of this because I want to do the whole string, split the whole thing into pieces. So if I were to do that, to write my own split function, what it would look like is, let's just delete all this stuff here. Steps. Loop character by character. For each character, compare against delimiters. If one of the delimiters matches, create a new object string. And object cons. Whoops. And for the characters up to the current index, and add it to the list. So we just need to have delimiters that we're looking at every time we roll through. I'm thinking about whether I want to try to support multiple delimiters or not. Because one thing I have here is, obviously I have spaces between the numbers, but then each line ends with a new line, and that needs to be treated as a delimiter. So it would be ideal if this function supported two delimiters. Now, if I do that, it makes the implementation more complicated and slower, but maybe since I'm not doing this all the time, it doesn't matter so much. Man, come on, we got more spam in the chat. Oh boy. Okay, so we're basically at the end of the allotted time for this first part of the stream today. So I'm probably going to stop it right here because to get into writing this function, it would take a little bit of focus and a little time to write it and test it. So I'll probably do that on the next part. So the plan is that in about 4 hours, I think, it's almost 10 a.m. here in Greece, I'm going to start streaming again around 2 o'clock, somewhere between 1 and 2 o'clock, let's say, and then go for another 4-hour session. So I will schedule the stream in advance to let you know when the time is for when I start again, but it will be in about 3 to 4 hours today. We'll do another 4-hour block, and we'll see. What I would like to do by the end of the next 4-hour block is have the basic game world rendering with a predefined map and having a character on the screen, which may be another little square that moves around, that you can move with the arrow keys. If we can get to that point, which I think we can, the rendering of things and the taking of user input and, moving things, that I already know that can work because I did that for the last Ludum Dare. So we'll get to that point, and maybe we can even start implementing things like picking up objects, having other entities moving around the world, etc. And then tomorrow we could potentially focus the whole day on actually implementing enough game logic for it to be fun and to conform to the theme of the Ludum Dare compo this time, which is every 10 seconds. I think that's what it was. Let's see. Yeah, every 10 seconds is the theme right now. So anyway, thank you to all of you who have been here in and out today. I appreciate those of you who've dropped by. And I will be back, like I said, in 3 to 4 hours, and we'll continue this task and see how far we can get today. So until next time, keep it creative. I'll see you soon.